Hi everybody, this is Courtney and this is the tiny house project. You can see it on the hill there. I'm going to try to zoom in. I don't want to step outside and get a clearer picture for you because the plumbers are there and I don't want to have to get engaged in conversation. But I thought I would tell you a little bit about how it's going and give you an update. So we had set aside $20,000 for the tiny house project and we've completely lost control of the money. So what happened was I got bids on everything and my husband got bids, and my husband had expected to do about 50 to 60% of the labor, especially the construction. And what happened was we got really busy. We own a roofing business and it's a good thing to be busy, but it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other because we've been spending the money on labor. So every weekend we've had carpenters out here at $20 an hour. They work about 7 hours a day. Oh, I would say we're at about, let's see, $600 a weekend approximately. And that's been going on about 3 weekends a month for about 3 months now. So that's been quite a bit of an expense. One thing I have learned is my husband is terrible. My husband is 61 and in his mind, he thinks it's 1985 and everything is priced what it was in 1985. And so I need to figure out that he is not a good judge of prices, and he way underbid the cost of material and the cost of labor. So I've got about $8,000 left of bills I've paid. I have not really sat down and followed the budget because, quite truthfully, my life has been turned upside down with my kid who has autism. And really, there's just been a lot of stress in our lives and a lot of busyness. And my son his school is closing. The school that my son was going to is closing. And so now we've got a fire under our behinds to get this place done. And it's just been like, well, we'll just have to do whatever it takes. I will try to have some figures ready for you guys at some point. So it's a 400 square foot tiny house. It has a bathroom I wanted a tub, that was important to me, and a tub, a toilet, and a sink. And I did not skimp. I did not buy expensive, but I did not get a cheapo tub that would crack. These tubs these days that you buy in the home stores, you got to be really careful with them. I ended up getting a Delta 400. I did a ton of research. Also ended up spending a little bit more on a toilet, about 200 instead of 100, because I got a non-clogging toilet. The sink I got at Habitat for Humanity. I learned from building this house that it's just cheaper to have a friend of ours build cabinets because they're much better quality than it is to buy off the floor. And I ended up getting all the appliances on sale. So we'll have a refrigerator, just an average size refrigerator, an electric stove, and a double sink that will be a little bit small. No dishwasher. I will probably put a food grinder, disposal in. I'm doing basic electrical and plumbing. Let's see, there's a water heater. By the way, a 40-gallon water heater is cheaper than a 30-gallon water heater. And you find that with things that are not common, even though they may be smaller, like tiny house stuff is more expensive than standard. So that's been a real takeaway for me. Like, if you want to get a tiny stove or a tiny refrigerators not so much, they're more common, but they're more expensive than if you get the standard size. Standard is always cheaper, and 30-gallon water heaters are not standard, and therefore they're more expensive. So I'm doing everything as tall and vertical as possible to maximize space. The house is kind of an L-shaped on the inside. It's a big square, but on one wall I just put the closet, and then there's the bathroom, and then the kitchen runs along the wall. So at the back, I chose not to put a wall for the bedroom because my oldest son lived in a tiny house and he suggested that we didn't. And then you have the living room, but it's kind of the living room area, I vaulted it, and that way it feels more open and separate. And then the bedroom area, the ceilings are standard 8 foot, so it will feel more like a separate area. I'm also doing everything really simple, and so the walls, you see the walls in here, the walls will just be stained with clear coat in that house. There is no sheetrock. Once again, we're using all shiplap, because honestly, it is just about the same amount of cost and it lasts forever. And my son is he's like a bull in a china shop, and it's harder for him to tear up the wood siding than it would be if we had sheetrock. The outside is all wood siding. We wanted something that was going to last. Let's see, the roof is architectural shingles because we had a really good deal on architectural shingles. The porches are very large because we know that outdoor space is really important when you have a tiny house. So the front porch is 10 by 12. The back porch is around 13 by 12. 12 deep, 13 wide, or 14 wide. I'm not exactly sure. It was something to do. And those have silver metal roofing on them. I wanted to make it look kind of just like a standard cabin, like a real country cabin. And I'm going to paint the front door a nice creamy white. Had all the kitchen counters painted white. The appliances are black, and the only reason I went with that, and I really had a hard time deciding if that was a good decision or not, was because I wanted the appliances. I just noticed that white appliances seem to look cheaper and they just don't look as nice. I have a lot of mixed feelings about granite and thought about doing wood countertops, but once again, we're talking about a young man with autism who is going to set hot pots down, and I think I can find scrap granite for really cheap. I don't need very much, like just a couple of feet. So there's not a lot of counter space. I also purchased all of the inside for $719, every piece of everything that goes in the house. The rugs, the bed, side tables, all of the dishes, everything for the house was $700, and we got a little bit more too. Just my friend was moving back to England, the country, and we purchased everything from her. So I don't need anything for his house. I got a beautiful dining room table. We're all set on that. So that's where we are. The bottom line is about a 412 square foot house with 2 big decks on it. It's going to be probably somewhere around $30,000. And what I would tell you is if you're doing this and you're hiring labor, I would go ahead and predict about $75 to $100 a square foot, depending on where you live. We live in rural Arkansas, so it might be a little cheaper. We also have shopped around for really good deals, and I reuse things when I can, but contractors don't like to use used stuff very much, and it can actually end up costing you more. We owned the land, and we had the septic system already on our property. That's one reason the house is located where it is. So I'm gonna say if you're gonna build a 400 square foot cabin, you probably wanna expect to spend $30,000 to $40,000. If you're gonna go up to 600, I'm gonna say 30 is at the low end and 50 would probably be about right. It also depends on your utilities and where you're building and the codes. So I will keep you updated and take you on a tour soon. It's coming along, and I'll put a picture on the front of this. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you being here. Subscribe and like if you like this video. Thank you.